Desmond Meade is the president and CEO of Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Desmond, welcome to Rebel Headquarters.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all. So you've got a unique campaign in Florida. You're trying to restore the voting rights of a lot of folks, and you are working with at least one Republican, if not many, to make that happen. So first of all, who is the affected group here? How many people are in that group, and why do you think they should have their voting rights back?
Oh, thank you so much. I think when you talk about the people who are impacted in Florida, you're talking about over 1.68 million people, and of those, at least 1.4 million of them have completed all terms of their sentence. And these are people from all walks of life, from all political persuasions, all racial groups. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that the majority of these people are not people that's coming out of prison, but the people that are already in our communities, in our homes, in our congregations. You know, Florida convicts about 170,000 people each year of a felony offense. Wow. And less than 25% of those are actually even sentenced to prison. And so the overwhelming majority of people who we're talking about are people who are out here among us in our community that's just trying to move on with their lives.
So, Desmond, you're in that group, aren't you?
I most definitely am. You know, because of a drug addiction, you know, I got into trouble a few times and eventually was sentenced to prison. But, you know, I was able to overcome that. And when I got out of prison, I still had to deal with a drug addiction, which led me to railroad tracks and contemplating suicide. But the train didn't come that day, and I ended up crossing those tracks, checked myself into drug treatment. After that, I moved into a homeless shelter, and while there, I decided to go back to school. It worked out kind of well for me because eventually I ended up getting accepted into law school. And in May of 2014, I did graduate with a Juris Doctorate degree. However, because I live in the state of Florida, I cannot practice law. I'm married, I have 5 beautiful children. I can't purchase a home in many places because my civil rights have not been restored. And of course, the biggest of them all is my wife ran for office last election cycle, and I couldn't even vote for her. And so I sit with the 1.4 million people who have completely served their time, but are still left out of this process.
That's a powerful story. And, you know, there's a lot to get out of that story. And I'm glad that that train didn't come for you. Another train came. I want people to not underestimate someone who happens to be homeless at a particular time. And they might be going through some rough times, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the content of their character. But Desmond, you're also working with a white conservative activist in this arena. Who is that, and why are they motivated to work on this?
Well, the person who I'm working with now has now become my brother from another mother, you know, Neil Vogt. But he's not the only one. You know, one thing that I discovered early when I used to travel the state of Florida by myself was that, man, because of the war on drugs primarily, you know, and this country's infatuation with incarceration, we know that felon disenfranchisement has managed to touch many households and has managed to spread out, you know, because we know initially it was intended to keep the newly released slaves from voting, but like a tumor, when left unchecked, is spread across a lot of the body. And so now it's impacting all Americans, whether they're white, black, Latino, rich, poor, you know, whether they're Democrat or Republican or independent or don't care either way. You know, so many people have been impacted by this. And that was something that I discovered early on in my journey around this campaign. And one of the first people who I ran into was a gentleman by the name of Neil Vogt, who, like I said, has now become a brother to me. And I think that the nature of our relationship is kind of indicative of what we're doing with this campaign and what makes this campaign real special. And that's because we've been able to connect along the lines of humanity. And because we've been able to do that, we find that we have more in common than we do opposing each other. And so because we were able to connect along those lines, you know, he and I have made a formidable duo, crisscrossing the state. energizing people and creating a grassroots movement that the state of Florida has never seen before. And so we're very excited about where we're at. We're nearing the finish line. The grassroots momentum is growing. It's causing people from all over, organizations from all sides, both sides of the fence, to recognize this for what it is and jump on board and support this.
So Volz, by the way, for the audience at home, is a former congressional chief of staff. And he was sentenced to probation for his role in a lobbying scandal. But as with anybody, conservative or liberal, people can make amends. And we have to believe in second chances. In fact, the website here is secondchancesfl.org, FL obviously for Florida. And Desmond, you guys got a vote coming up, right? And that's why this is even more important right now.
Oh, yes. So we, let me tell you, through an unprecedented grassroots effort, man, we were able to collect, over 1 million signatures to place this particular ballot question on the ballot for November. We are Amendment 4. We're asking folks to vote for Amendment 4 for second chances, right? Realizing that the system here in Florida is broken, and I don't know if your viewers even realize how broken it is. But when you look at Florida being only one of 4 states that permanently disenfranchises its own citizens, and then you look at the process or the ability to get those rights restored and what they make you go through, having a person wait, upwards of 17 years and still not guaranteed to have their rights restored, or the story of the Army veteran that put his life on the line for this country and then have to wait 30 years because he wrote a bad check. And so we're very excited that this is coming up for a vote. The people of Florida, the voters of Florida, put this amendment on the ballot. And based on polling, the voters of Florida is overwhelmingly supporting this amendment. And we're looking forward to the voters really coming out. And when we talk about voters, we're talking about from all spectrum, whether they're conservative, whether they're progressive, young, old, black, white, it doesn't matter. It seems like everyone across the board is really supporting this and is on board with what we're trying to do and to bring a little sunshine back to the state of Florida. And so we can't wait for November 6th to get here. So 1.4 million American citizens could experience what it's like to participate in true democracy again.
In a sense, to be free again.
Yes.
And I want everybody to understand, this is really important, just winning isn't enough. They have to win by over 60%. So they got to get 60% on this vote. And obviously the 1.4 million people affected can't vote to see if they can get a vote. So it reminds me.
They have family members. That's so beautiful about this, is that we're talking about, over 1.6 million people who are impacted, how they're getting their family members and friends to vote for them. So this is a vote around bloodlines. This is a vote around love. This is not a vote around fear or exclusion, but understanding that people from all walks of life have people out there, family members, who are registered voters who care about them getting a second chance.
And by the way, you should also know, the last thing is that Florida is not the norm. Only Iowa, Kentucky, and Florida automatically and permanently keep anyone who's committed a felony from ever voting again. They're the only 3 states who do that. So it's time to roll it back in those states and get back to sanity. So secondchancesfl.org is your opportunity to do that. And especially if you live in Florida, make sure you go out and vote. Desmond Meade, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching this free clip of Rebel Headquarters. Don't forget to become a TYT member today for more exclusive content. Join now at tyt.com/join.